Customer file, Mr. Leal. This is your VIP. From what I understand, I could be wrong, this boat sat at another repair shop for quite some time and really had suffered quite a bit of damage and required a engine replacement as well as a bunch of other stuff. The boat, fiberglass wise, pretty good shape, and mechanically is in pretty good shape other than a couple minor issues. Needs a little upholstery, but hey, this is a great boat right now. It's perfect size, got good power for 18.5-foot boat, probably 225 horsepower V6 Mercruiser. That's an ATK long block that we installed. We had to put some used manifolds on it. His were rotted out completely, and we did a few other simple things. We just installed it. We run these engines on the floor first. There's another video of that. And now it's in the test tank to load test. That's Kenneth Walker, that's my son. We got Joseph and Deanna over there because it's hotter than freaking heck out here today, and the humidity is about to kill us.
Okay guys, I'm good.
So we're gonna make this a short video. I do want to point out the tachometer does not work. This is the second boat with the same exact gauges with a V6. The tack doesn't work. We did a V6 install yesterday, same gauges, same scenario, tack didn't work. Everything else seems to work. Okay, let's start it up. The engine's a little warm, so it's gonna be pretty easy to start right now. We've already ran it on the hose. What was that? The ignition switch?
Starter solenoid.
Starter slave solenoid. Maybe the battery's just a little low, or the slave solenoid could be acting up. It hasn't been replaced. Let's get a picture of that. That's that dude right there. And it looks pretty old. They're notorious for failure, so same with the trim solenoids. Okay, that's idling. We don't have a tachometer, but it's idling good. Looks good. And that's in gear. Mr. Walker just put it in gear. Of course, my phone is ringing, and she won't answer it right now. Okay, that's in gear, idling. And how's your oil pressure right now, idling gear?
40 pounds, temperature is about 153.
40 pounds, temperature at 153. What's your voltage?
Voltage, gauge is wrong, about 13.
It's about 13? Well, that's probably not wrong. Does the trim gauge work? It's like buried down the bottom. I don't think it works.
Yeah, no.
It does not work. Okay, so the trim gauge and the tachometer do not work. Could be the trim cinders on the back of the boat. I'd say trim by feel. You don't need that silly gauge. Otherwise, you're going to spend a few $100 or more trying to fix it. Okay, so that's in gear. We got the gear oil topped off. We've double checked the engine oil, the power steering. Power steering's working good. The bilge blower works, but the bilge pump has a broken nipple where somebody snapped it off on the hose. So it's going to need a new bilge pump. But the blower works. The blower hose for feeding the blower is good, but the vent hose on the other side is bad. And I don't think that's really necessary, but you might check your Coast Guard recommendations or regulations to know exactly what to do there. All right, let's lean on it a little bit. Let's see what kind of power we got out of this thing. It takes right off. £80 of oil pressure. 152 degrees. Back the throttle off just a little because we're lugging it. That's like pulling a locomotive around. That's like pulling a train around all day, you know, because the boat's not moving. Once the boat's freed up on plane, you know, you can get max RPMs. That's probably about 3,200 RPMs. That's about all they'll turn unless we put a different prop on them. But it is stirring the tank nicely, and it's running really smooth. Sounds good, no odd noises, no leaks. We got a lot of water in the boat because it rained like hell this morning and yesterday. We did have the engine covered with 2 plastic bags last night, so it didn't get wet. Okay, pop it to neutral real quick. And we want to make sure the engine stays running if you jam back to neutral. And she's purring like a kitten. So we want to make sure when you come off throttle, the engine doesn't die, because you may have to get off the throttle and get into reverse. You sure as hell don't want your motor to die. Let's go to reverse, please. There's reverse. Let's give it a little gas. The shift cable was sticking a little bit earlier, but it's good now. All right, neutral. And he pops it back to neutral to make sure the engine stays running. Forward. So when you're docking, you're going to be forward, neutral, reverse a lot. So you need those motors to stay running, man. And you don't want them idling too fast. You want to make sure the shift interrupt switch is working. How's your oil pressure right now? Now that we've heated it up a little. 40 pounds still at idle. In gear. Okay, go.
Temperature's about 153 still.
153. So we should have about a 160 thermostat. Could be a 143 thermostat, but I don't remember. All right, so let's go to neutral. And let's shut it off because I want to point out something that this motor does. Okay, when we initially start this motor, even on the floor, it's got some cheese. I'm not sure why the video stopped. My phone turned off. But anyway, the starter. It's got some cheesy starter that somebody put on there. It works, but it works like crap. And it's kind of draggy on the initial start. And I think that the ignition timing, although we've set it and checked it 3 times, I believe that this ignition control module may be having some problems because the timing seems a little too far advanced when the engine cranks, but as soon as it starts, the timing goes right where it's supposed to go. And let's hit the key and show this happening.
Ready?
Yep.
Go.
Yeah, it worked great that time. All right, well that's good. Yeah, let's try it again. Maybe it just need to run a little bit. I don't know. That's weird. Try it again. It did a little bit there. Anyway, I don't see a cause for alarm there. That could just be kind of a cheap starter, so you might have to put a starter on it pretty soon. All in all, the oil pressure right now is what you got? 40 pounds, nice and steady. Temperature? 155-ish? Okay. And everything else seems to be functioning good. Voltage right now at this low idle? Over 13?
Yeah, over 13.
Good. So everything seems to be working. Your trim pump, this is pretty dirty in here. Your trim pump bracket is in bad shape. And you can buy just that bracket. Now we do have some water down in the boat from the rain. I see it's accumulating. So we're gonna cut this video off and we're gonna get this water out of this boat because I see the flywheel is actually turning in there. Now we don't put that bottom flywheel guard on this one. First off, it was missing. So it won't hold water, but you can see that water down there churning. So we want to get that turned off before it gets up to the starter. Okay, let's shut it down, please.